everyone. Today we are on Chapter 8, A Giant Shadow. Curl up with a blanket and just get comfortable and enjoy the story. Jack jumped behind the magnolia tree. His heart was beating so fast he could hardly think. He peeked out at the giant monster. The horrible-looking creature was opening and closing his jaws. His teeth were as big as steak knives. Don't panic. Think. Oh, don't mind my puppy Oliver in the background. Jack peered down at the valley. Good. The duck-billed dinosaurs were sticking close to their nest. Jack looked back at the Tyrannosaurus. Good. The monster still didn't seem to know he was there. Don't panic. Think. Maybe there's information in the book. Jack opened the dinosaur book. He found Tyrannosaurus Rex. He read, Tyrannosaurus Rex was the largest meat-eating land animal of all time. If it were alive today, it would eat a human in one bite. Great. The book was no help at all. Okay, he couldn't hide on the other side of the hill. The Anatosaurus might stampede. Okay, he couldn't run to the treehouse. The Tyrannosaurus might run faster. Okay, maybe he should just wait. Wait for the monster to leave. Jack peeked around the tree. The Tyrannosaurus had wandered closer to the hill. Something caught Jack's eye. Annie was coming down the rope ladder. Was she nuts? What was she doing? Jack watched Annie hop off the ladder. She went straight to the pterodon. She was talking to him. She was flapping her arms. She pointed at Jack at the sky. At the treehouse. She was nuts. Go back up the treehouse, Jack whispered. Go! Suddenly, Jack heard a roar. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was looking in his direction. Jack hit the ground. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was coming toward the hill. Jack felt the ground shaking. Should he run? Crawl back into the dinosaur valley? Climb the magnolia tree? So many options. Just then, a giant shadow covered Jack. He looked up. The pterodon was gliding overhead. The giant creature sailed down toward the top of the hill. He was coming straight for Jack. Chapter 9, The Amazing Ride. The pterodon coasted down to the ground. He stared at Jack with his bright, alert eyes. What was Jack supposed to do? Climb on? But I'm too heavy, thought Jack. Don't think, just do. Jack looked at the Tyrannosaurus. He was starting up the hill. His giant teeth were flashing in the sunlight. Okay, don't think, just do it. Jack put his book in his back. Then he eased down onto the pterodon's back. He held on tightly. The creature moved forward. He spread out his wings and lifted off the ground. They teetered this way, then that. Jack nearly fell off. The pterodon steadied himself, then rose into the sky. Jack looked down. The Tyrannosaurus was chomping the air and staring up at him. The pterodon glided away. He sailed over the hilltop. He circled over the valley, over all the nests filled with babies, over all the giant duck-billed dinosaurs. Then the pterodon soared out over the plain, over the Triceratops, who was grazing in the high grass. It was amazing. It was a miracle. Jack felt like a bird, as light as a feather. That'd be kind of fun to ride on a pterodon and see all the nice, beautiful nature. It's kind of like when you're on an airplane and you look out the window and you can see everything on the bottom. All the houses look so small, and cars, and rivers and oceans. How do you feel when you're on a plane? Or what do you notice? Do you like looking out the window and looking at all the houses and clouds? I know I do. It could be kind of scary too, huh? If you're on a pterodon, because you don't have that closed in like a plane. I would hang on. I wouldn't want to fall off. The wind was rushing through his hair. The air smelled sweet and fresh. He whooped. He laughed. Jack couldn't believe it. He was riding on the back of an ancient flying reptile. The pterodon sailed over the stream, over the ferns and bushes. He carried Jack down to the base of the oak tree. When they came to a stop, Jack slid off the creature's back and landed on the ground. Then the pterodon took off again and glided into the sky. "Bye, Henry," whispered Jack. "Are you okay?" Annie shouted from the treehouse. Jack pushed his glasses into place. He kept staring up at the pterodon. "Jack, are you okay?" Annie called. Jack looked up at Annie. He smiled. "Thanks for saving my life," he said. "That was really fun." "Climb up," said Annie. Jack tried to stand. His legs were wobbly. He felt a little dizzy. "Hurry!" shouted Annie. "He's coming!" Jack looked around. The Tyrannosaurus was heading straight toward them. Jack bolted to the ladder. He grabbed the sides and started up. "Hurry, hurry!" screamed Annie. Jack scrambled into the treehouse. "He's coming toward the tree!" Annie cried. Suddenly, something slammed against the oak tree. Oh, I wonder what. The treehouse shook like a leaf. Ooh. Jack and Annie tumbled into the books. "Make a wish!" cried Annie. "We need the book." "The one with the picture of Frog Creek," said Jack. "Where is it?" He pushed some books aside. He had to find that book about Pennsylvania. There it was. He grabbed it and tore through it, looking for the photograph of Frog Creek Woods. He found it. Jack pointed to the picture. "I wish we could go home," he shouted. The wind began to moan softly at first. "Hurry!" Jack yelled. The wind picked up. It was whistling now. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Jack closed his eyes. He held on tightly to Annie. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. The last chapter, chapter 10, Home Before Dark. A bird began to sing. Jack opened his eyes. He was still pointing at the picture of Frog Creek Woods. He peeked out the treehouse window. Outside, he saw the exact same view. "We're home," whispered Annie. The woods were lit with a golden late afternoon light. The sun was about to set. No time had passed since they left. "Jack! Annie!" a voice called from the distance. "That's Mom," said Annie, pointing. Jack saw their mother far away. She was standing in front of their house. She looked very tiny. "Annie! Jack!" she called. Annie stuck her head out the window and shouted, "Coming!" Jack still felt dazed. He just stared at Annie. "What happened to us?" he said. "We took a trip in a magic treehouse," said Annie simply. "But it's the same time as when we left," said Jack. Annie shrugged. "And how did it take us so far away?" said Jack. "And so long ago." "You just looked at a book and said you wished we could go there," said Annie. "And the magic treehouse took us there." "But how, Jack? And who built this magic treehouse? Who put all these books here?" "A magic person, I guess," said Annie. "A magic person." "Oh, look," said Jack. "I almost forgot about this." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the golden medallion. "Someone lost this back there in Dinosaur Land. Look, there's a letter M on it." Annie's eyes got round. "You think M stands for magic person?" she said. "I don't know," said Jack. "I just know someone went to that place before us." "Jack! Annie!" came the distant crying again. Annie poked her head out the window. "Coming!" she shouted. Jack put the golden medallion back in his pocket. He pulled the dinosaur book out of his backpack, and put it back with all the other books. Then he and Annie took one last look around the treehouse. "Goodbye, house," whispered Annie. Jack slung his backpack over his shoulder. He pointed at the ladder. Annie started down. Jack followed. Seconds later, they hopped onto the ground and started walking out the woods. "No one's going to believe our story," said Jack. "So let's not tell anyone," said Annie. "Dad won't believe it," said Jack. "He'll say it was a dream," said Annie. "Mom won't believe it," said Jack. "She'll say it was pretend." "My teacher won't believe it," said Jack. "She'll say you're nuts," said Annie. "We better not tell anyone," said Jack. "I already said that," said Annie. Jack sighed. "I think I'm starting to not believe it myself," he said. Then he left the woods and started up the road towards their house. As they walked past all the houses on their street, the trip to Dinosaur Time did seem more and more like a dream. Only this world and this time seemed real. Jack reached into his pocket. He clasped the golden medallion. He felt the engraving of the letter M. It made Jack's fingers tingle. Jack laughed. Suddenly, he felt very happy. He couldn't explain what had happened today, but he knew for sure that their trip in the magic treehouse had been real. Absolutely real. Tomorrow, Jack said softly, we'll go back to the woods. Of course, said Annie. And we'll climb up to the treehouse, said Jack. Of course, said Annie. And we'll see what happens next, said Jack. Of course, said Annie. Race you! And they took off together, running for home. That was a wonderful story. Today, I would like you to find a book that you enjoy, whether it's a children's book or a chapter book. Find a book that you like, get a blanket, some pillows, stuffed animals, and just enjoy reading. Because just like how Jack and Annie found a magic treehouse full of books that took them on an adventure, by finding a book you enjoy and reading it, it can take you on an adventure as well. Because books help you to open your imagination and it takes you somewhere else that, you feel like you're not at home, you feel like you're going somewhere else. So I encourage you to find a book that you like today. And just like I read this one, I really enjoyed this book, and I'm going to find a book that I like today as well and read. You can go outside if you want to, or you can stay inside and just get your pillow blankets. You can go in a bed or a couch or even on the floor like I did. But be comfy and enjoy a book. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.